Welcome to all our listeners and viewers of the Debating Club. For decades, Israel has been protected at the United Nations by United States diplomats against any possible consequences to its actions. All resolutions aimed at Israel have been vetoed by the United States, regardless of the extent of Israeli culpability. The Czech President Miloš Zeman has said, "The enemy is the anti-civilization stretching from North Africa to Indonesia. 2 billion people live there, and it is financed partly by oil sales and partly by drug sales." He was referring to Islam and Muslims. President Zeman sees Israel as the only democracy in the Middle East, and it seems to him that when an unarmed Palestinian miner is shot by an Israeli soldier, or when the Gaza Strip is bombarded by phosphorus bomb, everything is perfectly fine. However, when a Palestinian begins to assert his rights in Israel or the occupied territories, or calls for help from citizens of other countries, there is certainly involved, according to Zeman, some rich Kuwaiti oil sheik with nothing else to do or drug dealer. To the Czech Republic, where we have this hardline Islamophobic Zionist president, has arrived a Palestinian activist and a journalist from Gaza, Majed Abusalama. Among other recent political and journalistic work, Abusalama has co-produced a National Geographic documentary about Palestine, specifically on the Gaza Strip. We also have an Israeli human rights activist and math teacher, Ronnie Barkan, who is one of the founders of Boycott from Within, a group calling for an academic and cultural boycott of Israel. Today, both of these activists will talk about their views on the question of Palestine as a historical territory where there now lies the state of Israel, with no effective Palestinian state.
Hey, salam. Yeah. Good to see you Wallah, in Europe here.
It is really great to finally be able to meet.
Yeah, it's
because we cannot meet in Palestine.
Like we were friends on Facebook about a long time ago, and we have 300, almost
and
50
we just realized,
and we just realized. And this Facebook strategies which do not let us almost see any comments or anything of each other, and that is really crazy. But how was it from Tel Aviv to here? It was nice.
Yeah, it was. It was also relatively, I guess it was much easier to come from Tel Aviv to here than your way.
Yeah, that's for sure, Now coming from Gaza is almost it's not, I cannot describe it to myself, so I cannot describe it to people. And which took me lots of time. It took me about 2 months to arrive.
Well,
more than 2 months to arrive from here to Europe, And I already privileged Palestinians because I already got a visa. You can travel wherever you like with your passports. But myself, I have to get a visa and invitations, and almost everybody is refused. And if I don't work with some international organizations and I have some international friends, then I would not be able to come here. But it's a really long trip, man. Especially with the situation in Egypt right now, with all these borders is closed, and I'm not, we are activists, and I'm not allowed to go through Israel at all because I will be in jail. So I have to go through Egypt, and I almost went out at 5 in the morning from Rafah border, Palestinian side, to Rafah border, Egyptian side. It took me till 6 or 7, between 6 and 7 in the evening to arrive. So it's about 13 hours. And then 10 hours with the checkpoints in Egypt to arrive to Cairo. You have to be, you're a Palestinian terrorist everywhere. So being a terrorist, I had to have me and my friend Palestinian who deported to Cairo airport. We have to have police with us all the way with the bus. We've been checked almost in every checkpoint, and it's really crazy. It reminds me a lot of the checkpoints in Israel. Even they have it for because of the Sinai situation. But every time we got stopped, even though it's 10 minutes, and it's for 15 minutes. And my Palestinian friends, they stop for 2 hours sometimes, or 3 hours. And it's something very different, as it's Tel Aviv is different. But how is it? How is it till now? How is traveling?
Well, it was interesting. Yeah. I was traveling quite a lot, speaking. But I think that, yeah, that's a very good example of how it's much easier for some people and much more difficult for other people to just to go and speak to people and just for us to interact.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy for us to interact because it's very. I know what you feel like, almost like, and you can tell me also what you feel more of when people just like look at yesterday, like when we were in a lecture and we were like, a lot of people will come and will listen to this Israelis, like this Israeli and this Palestinian who are coming to talk in a debate.
Yeah.
And
as if we come from two different sides.
As like
but
as
actually,
we come, we are almost, it's Palestine, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not those different sides. It's like we both Samist, you know. We both human being and we both work for the same cause. You work for Palestine and I work for Palestine. And that is for them was very different, you know. It's like
because we actually come to represent the same side, only that one is very privileged, the other is very unprivileged.
Yeah.
And I think the whole system is about giving privileges to some people, to the group that I belong to, and at the same time taking away the basic rights of the others, the group that you belong to.
Yeah.
That's the system, and that's what we're fighting against.
Yeah, but that's the difference when it comes to Tel Aviv and Gaza, you know. It's like looking at Gaza and look at you. Like, you're just coming, you are about like 50 minutes, 1 hour away from me. And you go to Tel Aviv, you find everything.
Yeah.
You come to Gaza, it's very different world. It's like bombing, it's less water, it's polluted water. Almost will not have water in 2015. It's like no electricity. It's people like I never imagined, like Ronnie, like when it was 2008, 2009 massacre. And in this massacre is like, how will I imagine that there is someone on the other side sitting on the beach of Tel Aviv and like having fun and partying in Tel Aviv 1 hour away from me, and I am bombed in Gaza. Exactly. And this concept, the same concept when I'm saying, when I saw in the lecture yesterday, it was very, very important for me. The same when it comes to the Europeans and to the Americans and the international community. How I thought that we had a different body with a different firework, which is bombs, Israeli bombs raining on us, you know, on December 2008, January 2009, you know, and thinking of people here in the same time waiting, like calling for the firework and calling for the New Year and finishing the Christmas and everybody counting 9, 8, 7, and we'll come to the New Year. And in the same counting, we have another counting through bombs. Boof, boof, boof. It's like, hey, there is a big difference. I don't know how the Israelis in Tel Aviv thinks, you know, when they think of it.
I don't think they think about it. They try not to think about it. But the whole system is in order for them to be able to live a relatively comfortable life, they have to be sort of separated from reality, from parts of reality. So in order for them to live a relatively comfortable life, there is also the other side of it, which is the oppression, the ongoing oppression all the time.
Yeah.
In the West Bank, in Gaza, East Jerusalem, everywhere, also inside the 48.
Yeah.
What is called Israel proper, Also there's all the time oppression. But they don't see it because they don't have to see it.
And
they can live a comfortable life in Tel Aviv. If you want to see, if you scratch the surface a little, you see, okay, here was a Palestinian village. There was a Palestinian village in Tel Aviv. Okay, Tel Aviv was, they tell us that Tel Aviv was built on sand, but on this sand, just, you know,
wherever you go,
like behind the hill, there was a Palestinian village. There were about like 8 of them in the big city of Jaffa, which is one of the oldest cities in the world. But, you know, a few years ago, they celebrated 100 years for Tel Aviv. Wonderful. You know, very, festive occasion. 100 years for the establishment of Tel Aviv. They didn't say one word about the mother city of Jaffa.
Yeah. But because I know Tel Aviv was taking an ethnic cleansing from villages next to Jaffa and other places around. And it was also another, it's not called Tel Aviv, you know, it's called Tel Rabia, or like there's another also, like it was expand into the big like Jaffa, and it was expand to other places, so it was taken.
They built it, first of all, it's not a coincidence that it was built next to Jaffa.
Yeah.
And Jaffa was a very successful cosmopolitan city. You know, Jaffa oranges, which was a big symbol. There were poems written about it. It was really a... Kulthum went to perform in Jaffa. Like,
Kulthum.
Yeah. So it was really a successful place.
Yeah.
And in 48, when the Zionists came, and in 48 when they performed the ethnic cleansing, it was destroyed basically. Physically, they bombed the place, and only 5% remained. 95% became refugees, many in Gaza.
Many in Gaza, and I'm one of the refugees in Gaza. You know, that's why I always say is like it is. I live almost like 15 minutes or 20 minutes walking from Gaza, my village, and I was like, I could not go there, and it's crazy. And what's crazy, like what's crazy in this aspect, you know, when the 15th of May came, you know, and it's the catastrophe day or the Nakba day for the Palestinian, and I think of two sides, you know, living next to each other, one celebrating the establishment of a country and after the ethnic cleansing of this country above another country, you know, and celebrating all these massacres that was happened during that time in lots of villages. And other is not celebrating, is being sad and mourning and
it's the same day.
And yeah, it's the same day.
It's the same
and
thing.
It's crazy. This is celebrating 66 year, and this is celebrating 66 year of oppression, 66 year of occupation, 66 year of hard life, and 66 year of being refugees without a country, without the recognizance of their human rights, without anything, and the other country next to them. It's normally living very privileged, traveling wherever they want, taking our water, having all the resources from the Palestinian as nobody could guess, you know, and looking at West Bank, you know, you work with it, like, how is it in West Bank?
Yeah, but you know, even before the West Bank, like just for Israelis to celebrate so-called Independence Day, it's to celebrate their own ignorance. Yeah. They don't understand that they live a lie.
Yeah.
Everything that they benefit from comes on account of the oppression of other people.
Yeah.
The establishment of the State of Israel was on account of kicking out the native indigenous people of the land and making sure that they never come back and making sure that those who remained on the land, because they didn't manage to kick out everyone, so 20% of the citizens of Israel are non-Jewish, they are Palestinian, most of them. But they are not equal citizens, so there is a whole system of discrimination against them. So even the ones who remain...
Yeah, they have a whole system, education...
So there's also oppression inside.
Yeah.
So and when they celebrate, what is there to celebrate? There's nothing to celebrate about it.
No, that you said something very important. They celebrate their ignorance. They celebrate their lying at each other. They celebrate their... their being. Their being in that land without... just not taking efforts to know that there is neighbors next to them, that they are under occupation, and they continue.
When they celebrate on top of Palestinian villages.
Yeah, and they celebrate on top of our villages. They celebrate on top of our massacres. They celebrate on top of my grandfather and my grandmother houses. They celebrate inside the homes of the Palestinians in Jaffa and in Haifa and Akka and all these places. They celebrate and... You know what make me really more like I think a lot about it, you know. I always guess of when a story is like what will happen if we solve the problem of the Palestinians and we will we have long oppressions. Will I do that to any other people? And I think of all the history of Jewish people, and I just look at what happens to them in Germany and other countries, and I just go around all these places. And I see someone who was oppressed. He will never oppress others. Someone who was occupied. He will never occupy others. You know, someone fight for liberation. He will fight for liberation for others. He will not occupy other people's country. Someone who has massacres have done against him and against his family. He will never happens to him that he will have the same aspect for the Palestinians. But
it's not always like this, because, for example, the most oppressed groups in Israel are becoming the worst oppressors. So the worst soldiers, for example, in the Israeli army, which is a terror organization, by any definition of terror, the worst soldiers are, or the ones who are the most brutal, because everyone is bad, they are the ones who have been most oppressed, including the Druze, including the Bedouins that serve in the army, including the Mizrahi Jews who are more oppressed relative to the Ashkenazi, including Ethiopians. All of these groups that have become, they have to prove themselves, and in order to prove themselves, they become even worse.
Yeah, even more inside the system and between each other.
Exactly, because the system is a system of oppression, and you have layers. You have, the privileged, the less privileged, the less.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to be more than the one below them.
It's really crazy looking at your Israeli society and just see how many ethnicities you got among the Jewish. The Ashkenazi, the Makhzerchat, the Palestinian Jewish, the Palestinian, the Palestinian Muslim, the Palestinian, all these people, hey, you have layers of how people, this is first level citizen, this is second level citizen, this is third level citizen, this is fourth level citizen. And when I meet Palestinian friends of mine inside the 48 occupied land, and they tell me maybe they deal with us as 10th level citizen, And this is when it comes to calling Israel as a apartheid state, This is how, if they are just calling for racism or anti-Semist things, they are racist inside their country. They're racist when it comes to a Jewish coming from the West and Jewish coming from the East. Jewish who's coming from Russia or Jewish coming from Morocco. Jewish a Jewish or a Palestinian. Even in their educational system in universities, how it works when there is a teachers will look and there is a Palestinian and he's really a Zionist Jew, and he will just find will have a Palestinian Israeli inside his class, and how he will deal with him, in a racist way. That happens to lots of my friends, and this is it's never a coincidence, and they have been learned to hate. They learn to just do it this way, and they learn that they don't trust anybody, and they don't want to trust anybody. As you said, they just want to be ignorant, with themselves.
It's easier to be ignorant than to question everything. Yeah. Everything that they were told.
Yeah. But why you question everything yourself?
Maybe I was lucky and I wasn't too influenced by. I was influenced by the brainwashing, but maybe not enough.
Yeah.
But I think that. You said before that, for example, you have the Palestinian Jews.
Yeah.
So what does it mean, Palestinian Jews? Like Arab Jews. Yeah, because in Palestine, before Zionism, you had Arabs, Christians and Muslims and Jews living together.
Yeah.
There was no problem.
We had no problem at all.
They had really a shared, not everyone, but many had really shared lives and there was no problem. The problem started with Zionism. So the problem started with this type of thinking that this land is ours and only ours. The Jews and only for them. And anyone who doesn't belong to that group doesn't belong, period. Even if they are the indigenous people.
Yeah.
So, when you had the new Zionists coming over from Europe and whatever, and then which are the Ashkenazi, the elitists, whatever, and then you had the other Zionists coming from Arab countries, which were not so elitist, they were less elitist, and they were already discriminated against.
Wow.
And then, so the whole system is like this. First of all, we the Jews, them, the others, and the others don't have rights. They don't, we are doing them a favor. Anyone who is staying on the land, it's just because we are doing them a favor,
Yeah. Well, that is the favors, as you said, we are indigenous people, and it's not us alone. It's not me, a Palestinian, as a Palestinian Muslim. No, we have friends. I have got friends from the Samiris Jews, who are Palestinians. Yeah. And Samiris Jews, they are very indigenous.
They are Palestinian Jews.
And they're Palestinian Jew. Bizarre. And they were living next to us. And they still now, they're living in Nablus, and they live in Jerusalem Mountain. And they are not very big. They are but till now, Israel trying lots of times to let them just get the Israeli nationality and trying to convince them, but they don't want. They all want a Palestinian nationality. Even they will be more privileged if they got Israeli nationality because they can travel, they get social system, the spoiling system which is Israel give for Jewish to come all over the world to come to Israel. So we will get there is the stereotype, that they have, Israel is that country that it's peaceful, it's good, it's democratic, it's a good weather, a good we give you everything, we give you a house, we give you a good social system, and you just come, all this trip that they're trying to make to the American Jew, you know, who are in Europe, especially young people, because young people, they started to be ignorant about Israel and that side the US. They just bringing lots of delegation to them, showing them Tel Aviv and how nice is Tel Aviv and how democratic, especially with gays and lesbians, you know, and they pay them everything to come and show them Israel, so they might can live and come to Israel and have the Israeli nationality, because they are. They feel that there is a growing movement, you know, of Israel, like Jewish, who believe in the Palestinian people rights to live and self-determination right and the right to return to their country and land. That's why one of the most strongest like activists in the world, like even like a lot of strong like voices for Palestine are Jew American or Jew European or whatever, who did not accept to come back to the Holy Land, the choosing land for them, you know.
But inside 48, there isn't a. I don't want to create an impression that there is a growing movement.
Yeah.
You know, it's growing, but it is so small.
Yeah.
So every person that joins us is a growing movement.
Yeah. One person.
Yeah. So there is a small group of dissidents, anti-Zionists, who are against the, you know, everything that the state of Israel is basically based on, which is, you know, it claims to be a democracy. It's not a democracy. Never was a democracy. It's based on supremacy, ethnic supremacy, kicking out the native people of the land, putting in law all this like discriminatory laws and this whole ethnic supremacist idea into law. So even the 20% who are living inside, 20% of the Israelis who are not Jews, they are being discriminated against in many ways. And, you know, obviously you have the occupation and so on of 67. So yeah, this is what the state of Israel is about. So inside, you don't have a growing movement, but you have a few, and because we come from inside, because we're the privileged,
you have a stronger voice.
Exactly, because we are the privileged, then at least we can speak up against.
Yeah. Because
if I was a Palestinian living in Israel, most chances are I would probably be in jail by now.
Yeah.
Because it's much easier to oppress or to
oppress the Palestinians.
Exactly. Even though we are both Israeli citizens, the treatment is different.
He's a fifth level, you are a first level white citizen.
Yeah. So if I have more privileges, it means that I also have more responsibility.
Yeah.
So I have to use it.
Yeah.
I have to speak up against these crimes. But you know, there are some who are objecting, also refusing the military service. And now, for example, there are two in jail, in military jail.
Yeah.
One is an Orthodox Jew and the other is a Druze.
Yeah.
Who is opposing. And this is, you know, wonderful example of how it's not about, you know, it's not about that you have really people of all sorts who are opposing these crimes. There are few, but it's important to listen to them.
It was crazy. It was a nice story when I just heard the story of the daughter of the vice presidents of the Mossad.
Yeah.
You know, Goldman.
Yeah, Omar Goldman.
Omar Goldman, and Omar Goldman is really nice that she just said, "Father, I'm not gonna join your country.
I'm not gonna follow your steps.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow your steps. You know, it's like your country is apartheid country. Your country is occupying another land's country, and I'm not gonna serve in this army." And she left and she went to the U.S. You know, and it's crazy. You know how this. I feel even every New Hope is giving us a new window that we can open, and we can find hope through it, you know, and we just can get even to the Israeli society and get some good voices that can tell the world that how you are inside the society more than us. People outside in Europe, they listen to you more than us, because if they will listen to Palestine, they'll say, oh, he will tell his narrative. No. Now we are two narratives. This is the Palestinian narrative and this is the Israeli narrative.
And it's the same narrative.
Yeah, and it's the same narrative. You know, and it's like, hey, so there is no two narrative.
Yes.
There's just one narrative. It's the Palestinian narrative. You know, it's the truth narrative. Let's not say the Palestinian narrative.
Exactly.
It's the truth narrative. The truth narrative, which is very easy, without being logical and saying to anybody, hey, there is occupier and occupied, there is oppressors and oppressed. Let's skip that. You know, just look at how we live. You live in Tel Aviv. You live privileged, and you live like happy. Going around, even though if you are a normal, I know that you not live have a lots of threads, you know, still because you're an activist and dissidents, you know, and still like it's very, and it's important for us as Palestinians to know that there is guys like you they're working in Palestine, you know, and they're working with the Palestinian in the West Bank with checkpoints, and they're working also to boycott from within, you know, and that's your group. It's really amazing, you and Lihi and other friends, you know, but in the end, you know, like others who listen to you, you are giving them a new voice, you know, you're giving them a new hope that there might be a change, because, as you said, Israelis, they don't want to take effort to learn. Israelis, they are happy with their privilege.
They make an effort into, they don't want to know, and they don't know, and they don't want to know.
Yeah, and they make an effort to don't know.
Exactly. So, you know, I don't have a lot of hopes from Israeli society to come to senses. Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
But it's not about them. Yeah. It's about how do we change the situation.
Yeah.
And usually it wouldn't come from the privileged. Yeah. The privileged don't want to give up their privileges that easily.
Yeah. The same with Europe. When someone is capitalist and you have enough money and you have everything, he will not care about how the system works. You know, he will just care about how he will take more from the system and how he will just like get as much money, as much privilege, and he can travel.
Especially if he doesn't have to see the people that he's taking the money from or the people that he's oppressing. And the Israelis, they don't see.
If they don't see the checkpoint.
If you look, you see, but they don't have to look.
Yeah, and they give them they just like annoy them with this concept of security. It's like, hey, we're protecting you. It's like, hey, I'm a human. Who's protecting? You guys are the sixth strongest country in the world, almost, with the strongest military, with the strongest military ties with all the country, you know, and one of the strongest. So it's like, hey, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
You know, you are like we Palestinians have nothing. Yeah. You know, you have all this privilege living in Tel Aviv. You know, happy, free, and now when we have, I remember 2 years ago I had a scholarship to travel outside to Germany, and I could not go to Germany because I was late, you know, waiting to go outside of the border. If an Israeli student happens to him that, it will be in all the media, but the media got used, normalized the issues that Palestinians are under blockade. Lots of students will lose their studies, their scholarships outside because they could not cross the checkpoint even through areas or through Rafah or any other borders. And Israel is committing this crimes against our rights, you know, through like having this collective punishments on people of Gaza because of electing Hamas, because of democracy, because of it's Gaza, because Gazan people have to pay the price for everything, and also all the Palestinians pay the price of occupations, but Gaza, like, what I want to tell you that Gaza is not. It's an occupation with everything, and we might say, there is occupation in water, there is occupation in electricity, there is occupations in oil, in power, in all our trade. You know, we are fully controlled by our oppressor, fully controlled by our Israeli oppressor and occupier. But in the end, there is another occupation. It's the mind occupation. It's the mental occupation. When your mind is occupied of when electricity comes, if it is 4 hours of electricity, when your water will come, you know, because it come like 2 hours or 3 hours. So are you lucky if you're having the water coming the same time of electricity, so you can fill your gallons of water above in the second floor, first floor of your home, you know, or not? If you cannot fill them, then you have to find a solution. You know, they're taking always efforts to just wake up in the morning. Will they be able to take a hot shower if there is electricity? If there will not be electricity, will they manage to take a cold shower?
You told me the story about taking a shower.
Yeah, and it's about taking a shower. It's you know, it's like I always say to people, it's like just because of water aspects. You know, having always like people when they ask me, what is the most enjoyable and privileged like things that you will have, like when you traveled outside of Gaza. Everybody was guessed like, oh, this guy, Palestinian from Gaza, he did not manage to go outside of Gaza for 2 months, and he had been stuck in Gaza for about a year and a half, you know, and suddenly he would go outside. Wow, I'll be like, It's like, you know, your kids, when you not allow him to go outside of your home, and then he go outside of your home to visit a garden or to go to the zoo or something. He'll be so happy because like his mother allowed him after he made his homework to go outside. Myself, I went outside and it should be freedom. And I was asking all people in my lectures, like, what it should be? And everybody was, yeah, freedom, freedom. And I told them, you know, the first city I visited was Oslo. And in Oslo, I just went to a friend of mine home and I took a shower. And my taking a shower with a clean water, not salty water, not sewage water, was the most privileged, value that I have. So this is freedom for me. It was not going outside of Gaza. No, taking a shower with a clean water, you know, in Oslo, and going to my friend and tell him, hey, look, like I really, look at that, like my hair, it's not salty, it's not it's good, you know, I feel it, I really feel something different with the water here, you know, because I'm used, Palestinians, they buy water, not everybody can buy the water. Second is all our, in 2000, now we have 6.7% of our wells, the water, underground water is really safe to drink. More than 90%, 93% are
toxic.
It's just toxic. It's unsafe for drinking. In 2015, we'll not have water at all. If you brush your teeth in Gaza, when you're next to the sea, and it's you cannot know who can brush his teeth with the salty water. It's like you're brushing your teeth with the water of the sea. It doesn't work. And this is how freedom, you know, it's details of injustice that we are living in every day and we are used to. For that details which started to be abnormal. This is, the abnormal start to be normal.
Yeah.
So let's say, we are in Gaza, you woke up in the morning and you have 4 hours of electricity. Okay, you go outside and you want to do your homework in the morning, you cannot find electricity, so you cannot do it. So you run, you want to take a shower also, you cannot take a shower, so you take your clothes and you go. If you're lucky, if you really want to make it, and I'm a Mediterranean, I have a body, so that would work. I don't like to take it with a cold water. So I just go run to the street, and in the street I would try to just take a taxi, you know, to go home, because we don't have public transportation. So you have to this is our public transportation, it's normal taxis. So you take taxis, the taxis are all full because there is no fuel from the Israelis. So look at the aspect, but always we don't think of the Israeli occupation in this aspect, even though they control everything, even our telecommunication. So we just keep waiting and waiting. You go there, you go to your office to work. You don't find electricity. Then they give you electricity for 1 hour to work. So you have to do all the paperwork, just paper, and then go write it. In this 1 hour, you have to do everything before they cut the generator, because the generator cannot be more than 1 hour because there is no file. In the end, your head is very occupied with electricity, water, file, milk, because milk right now in Gaza, it's double price. You know, nobody in Gaza, it was 90 shekel, it means 20 euros. Now it's about 40 shekels, you know. There is a big difference, you know. From 20 to 40, when it comes to double prices, because of closure of the tunnels right now, which we call the life tunnels, and people, they call it something else. But in the end, this life tunnels was bringing us all the gap that Israel was not bringing it to Gaza. You know, imagine Ronnie, Israel once, they prevented the chocolate to come to Gaza for security reason. Yeah. They prevented the sugar to come to Gaza for security. Yeah, and pasta, you know. I was hey, wait a second. I could not find logic. I really can't. So I feel sometimes they're playing in how they're gonna get us busy out of struggling for our freedom and our justice. They guessed that they will make us busy, you know, with our suffering. Just mentally thinking of there is some drones all the time. You'll just think of there is drones all the time in the sky.
And you can hear them, right?
Yeah, you can hear them all the time. And the lucky things, really, if you just if there is no drones or helicopter or F-16 in 2 days, you will ask yourself, hey, there is no drones. This is being no drones in the sky. This is abnormal. Yeah, and you will start making fun of your friends, hey, but we did not see any drones 2 days ago. It's it seems the Israelis have Shabbat, or they have some holidays, or what they have. It's really crazy. They might be busy, you know. They are not bombing for 2-3 days. Are they? It's sure there is something. You know, if I sit in the sea for 3-4 days and look at the fishermen, you know, and just sit And like, think of like, I sat the first day, there was no shooting, or there was little shooting, you know. Second day it was no shooting. Third day I said no shooting. The fourth day we'll be sitting my friends. One of the topics that we have to do is like, hey man, like there was no shooting at Fisherman's like the last 2 days. We did not hear what's wrong. So the wrong thing that, you know, when you have like our electricity company, this is like what you have. Let's say you have 6 hours of electricity or 8 hours of electricity. Then if you get half an hour more, sometimes you think of calling an electricity company, you know, saying, hey, you give us half an hour of electricity. Are you sure it is right? You might be wrong, you know, because it's half an hour of electricity. Yeah, it's a mistake. You know, we are not even accepting that to have more than 8 hours of electricity or more than 6 hours of electricity, because this is
crazy.
This is abnormal to have half an hour. And that is what we keep occupying our head. That's why more than 90% of Palestinians in Gaza have PTSD, post-trauma, you know, of realizing the abnormal as a normal, you know, and having the normal as abnormal, you know, and that is an occupation, like crazy occupations, which continue inside us, and that's what I'm afraid of, because in the end, this is more radicalism will be in, more extremism will be in, more not finding mutual understanding and grounds among people themselves, you know, and this will create no solution.
So actually, you know, if you say like normalizing the abnormal, then we can take it also to BDS and to say basically the whole world, at least the governments of the world, what they're trying to do is to normalize this abnormal situation.
Yeah.
This criminal state of Israel that is practicing belligerent occupation and apartheid. Apartheid is a very, very serious crime. And obviously what is happening in Gaza, which is, I have no words to describe it. And all the countries of the world are acting as if
nothing happened.
As if nothing. The US, the EU.
You know, normalizing the abnormal, it's the same thing, you know. You go to the EU and you go to the US, for sure there is a power, which it's all run by the US and Israel, you know. The US is telling, if the US will tell Israel that you have to do something, they will do it, you know.
They will have no choice.
Yeah, they will have no choice, because there is the power of the US and even the EU. If the US will say to them, you have to support this and this, we are now in Czech Republic, and look at the Czech rules in the Nakba, or the catastrophe 1948, when Czech Republic gave weapons to the Haganah and the other Zionist group to attack and make massacres against Palestinian villages, you know. And when they are saying also there is some Air Force, you know, came like some drivers of planes, they came and they helped also the Zionist group there. In the meantime, the main problem that this powers of the US, which is supporting Israel, is also telling the mainstream media to tell the story of the Israelis, to them that's all of the Palestinians, to just support Israel blindly, and also to not take any steps implementing any steps against Palestinians.
But this thing is changing, finally. So the governments are still very much complicit.
Yeah.
So you have the US, I don't have to explain, it's obvious.
Obvious. Really obvious.
You know, the US is supporting Israel in every possible way. Also with Canada, and but also every member state of the EU is supporting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we see more and more changes coming from the people of these governments. And also the mainstream media is now finally starting to tell a different story.
Yeah, because the social media come in.
Yes, the social media and the
BDS movements and the new growing solidarity movement and people's solidarity, the steps that was taken from the North country using the North European country using the freedom of expressions and using their right to do something. So when you see some trade union boycotting Israel in Norway, and that's the biggest trade union in Norway. When you see the National Museum, they're trying to boycott also ties with the museum inside Israel. You know, that is a new growing movement. Yeah. Look at all the students' movements that is growing inside the UK, inside America. That is like having a huge boycott.
Yeah, we have over 200 universities doing Israeli Apartheid Week every year. A whole week of events about educating people about apartheid, about the Israeli.
And that is a threat. That is what Israel feels, that there is a big threat. Yes. When you just feel that there is that they feel that now they cannot normalize anything. Yeah. That during the 66 years of the European Union and all these people normalizing that there is an occupation in Palestine, and just there is occupation, there is suffering, and we don't want to hear about it. Yeah. It's all the same story: bombing, killing, murdering, killing children, destroying home, demolishing houses, walls, checkpoint. they get tired, But they thought that they will make people tired of that, but they did not manage. So whenever people are tired, lots of the people are getting stands and saying, no, we gotta stand against our governments. There is a ground. Look, I'm really happy. Like in Prague, like having 100 people yesterday was crazy. Was really, and that's all was really interested, like on knowing the truth and the truth will spread slowly, and people will know more through social media.
Because we see more and more changes, and the whole perception of Israel is changing. Yeah. So 10 years ago they talked about it as the only democracy in the Middle East. And now, even in the U.S. mainstream media, even in the White House, they are starting to talk about Israel as apartheid.
Yeah, and look at the IBAC when they said the BDS 18 time, during their last conference, like saying about the BDS in 8 time. That mean like there is an effect, and people think that we are like Palestine. The BDS is calling for boycotting people. We don't boycott people. Hi, me and you meeting each other. Me and you are talking. I talk to anybody who want to talk, that is no problem for Palestinians. That is no problem. And any Israelis want to talk to us, but I don't want him to talk from when he start hey, he's a terrorist. And he's like, I'm your neighbors, we are cousins, we are Zionists together, we have the same DNA blood, so let's talk, but they don't want to talk because they want to be ignorant, The same, I'm really afraid of, I was always afraid of two things. I'm afraid of just keeping this ignorance in mainstream media inside Israel, which hopefully will change with social media.
The mainstream media inside Israel is not going to change until the other stuff changes, because most of the media in Israel, there is censorship, but not a lot. Most of the censorship is self-censorship. They just don't want to report anything. And when they do report, you know how? If they kill some Palestinians, let's say in the West Bank, then they say the Palestinians claim that someone was killed,
we claim.
And then they give 2 paragraphs to the IDF spokesperson, which cannot say one single sentence that is truthful. But they say the Palestinians claim. You can just phone the hospital and find out. It's like it's concrete evidence. There's no.
The same with Gaza. Like when a farmer is like that, always they're saying we reacted. We react on Gaza. It's like how you react. It's like, let's say farmer is like a farmer is farming in his land, and you shot him and you killed him. How you reacted?
Exactly.
If a fisherman's are...
We reacted because he stood up for his rights.
It's like he stood up, he's farming in his land, so that is in his land, inside Gaza, and you just killed him because it's like how it works.
Also when they say about terror attacks, okay? So, let's say you have Palestinian terror, but you have Israeli terror that is 10 times more murderous. But that is never regarded as terror, and they never say that, for every rocket or whatever that is being launched, you have
10 others coming
which
back. It's like a ton of bombs, and it's like, it's really I tell you a story about my cousins. Like, till now I don't understand. He's 13 years old, and he was just passing next to the buffer zone, which is very illegal and should not be there, inside Gaza. That was about 6 years ago. And a group of Israeli soldiers came in, took my cousin, who was 13 years old, put him in jail for 6 months.
Wow.
Why you put my cousin who's 13 years old for inside jail, for 6 months? Because he was just walking inside his land. It's crazy. Like, a lot of not logical stuff that I could not when I talked about my brother is like, he was swimming in the sea, and when he swim in the sea, he just have fun, he just start jumping. And then my brother will come out to me. I will hear some shouting. My brother, he like to get inside. He will be like in the 2 miles. It's inside our sea. We have, according to Oslo Accord agreements, it should be 20 miles. We are now having the fishermen in Gaza cannot fish in less than 3 miles. And they shoot at them and they take their fishes, or they take their tents, or they take their boats from there. So anyway, my brother will come back to me. He's like being just having Majed, it's like, what happened to you? It's like, hey, the Israeli boats shot at me, and he will be happy. Look at it's like the point. It's not normal that they are. It's not normal that they are shooting at my little brother who was 14 years old when he was swimming in the sea, and also it's not normal for my brother that he's happy that they shot at him and he escaped.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, it was really good fun. What is the fun? Like, what is the fun about that? he normalized. It's not fun for you, baby. It's like you are 14, 13 years old. This is not fun. They're shooting at you, and they can kill you, and they just like, this is not normal. But what is not logic? They could not see all this technology, you know, like. I cannot, like Ronnie, I really can understand looking at this guy, like during 2008, 2009 massacres, I was just seeing this guy carrying water. He want to take it to his family because we don't have electricity all the 22 days of the 2008, 2000 massacre. So he carried the gallon of water. The drone, he's like 14 years old or 15 years old. He carried the gallon of water. The drone hit him with a bomb. They scatter him into pieces, you know? And I till now have this, like, why you attack this child having the gallon of water, you know? These little stories, you know, it's like with all the technology, I know that drones can see everything. It's like you're playing games, video games, you know, and you're seeing like, oh yeah, I see him, yeah, it's like, yeah, he's carrying a gallon of water. It's like, shut him. We are not a video game. We are not in a video game. This is a human being aspect. We're a human being. This child is a human being. He carrying.
But they don't see people in Gaza as human beings. You know, in the trial, the Corey family. That went to the Israeli court. The Israeli court is the main vehicle of apartheid, and you can see also according to the verdict that they gave. So in the court, there was some Israeli officer who was responsible there in Gaza, and he said very clearly that in Gaza there are no civilians.
There's no civilians.
No civilians in Gaza. No innocent people in Gaza.
No innocent people. No civilized people.
That's
in Gaza.
how they think.
You know. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like they go to Tel Aviv. Sorry, I'm not cutting you. They go to Tel Aviv. They go to Tel Aviv and they were like, we see our European when they come to. We see music, we see parties, we see people. Everyone's was like, did you ever come to Gaza? You ever come to Palestine and you saw how warm is the people? We have parties, we have music, we listen, we have everything that you can. You have some festival, we have a lot of art. But it's like we're struggling. That people there, which you call civilized, they are taking lands, they are taking all these privileged things that they have there. You know, they have it because they stole a country from another people. They stole rights from another people. They live above the rights of others, and that is crazy. And
look, like what happened in Kastled, for example. It was, I don't have to tell you. It was more than horrible. It was a massacre, but it really changed the situation. You know that many people started joining the Palestinian struggle. Many people in the world, because of what happened in 2009, and because of people like you and like Vittorio, who was actually documenting and publishing it abroad in Italy, and other activists who published it in other places, and that changed. That changed a lot for people.
People know that we are civilians.
Yes. And in the Mavi Marmara, again, when Israel was like acting in the most barbaric way and murdering people, like from, you know, that they started shooting already from the helicopters. They didn't even wait to see the people. They just started shooting them and killing them. And people saw it. And that is what is, obviously, it comes at a very high price, but that is really changing people's perception. When they see, there's no excuse for what Israel is doing.
There will never be an excuse. The problem is a lot of people know that there is no excuse for what people are doing. And also the European Union made lots of laws, and everybody know the United Nations resolutions with the right of return, the self-determination for Palestinians, and all the United Nations reports about children being attacked, murdering. Human Rights Watch just 3 days ago said to Israel, stop killing shooting at Palestinian civilians in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. It's all these organizations are telling to Israel that stop that, but still, whenever there will be a step toward punishing Israel, there will be the U.S. veto in front of that. Look, it's more than 2/3 of the U.S. vetoes. More than 2/3 of the U.S. veto it went just to support Israel. It's wait a second, why? This concepts of capitalism and imperialism and the supports of having, I don't know, a family of a son, Israel and America, just being in that ties relationship, protecting your son, It's and you protect your son when you do and oppress your neighbor? That is crazy. You protect your son if you go and occupy and throw outside a people and ethnic cleansing your neighbor, you know, like, or any other country or any other house around.
Okay, so basically, yeah, I agree. Basically, the change is not going to come from them.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, we have many, many people in the world who are speaking up against their criminal, against the complicity of their governments.
Yeah.
So American people speaking up against the American government, and many, many people who are active are, as you said, like they are actually ethnic Jews.
Yeah.
So again, all this thing about Israel being a Jewish state and all of that, that's bullshit. I mean, it's only Jewish in its supremacist character. Israel is Jewish just like South Africa was white.
Yeah.
It's not Jewish by religion, it has nothing to do with religion. So you have many who are active in the US and many who are active in Europe. And I think that finally, you know, maybe for 70 years nothing changed, and finally something is happening.
Yeah.
Finally, at last.
People are moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People are changing the perception because their governments are not doing what, you know, not doing their job. So the people are standing up to their governments. Yeah. And now also the businesses are starting to react.
Yeah. We both are very optimistic about people solidarity, and we really, I'm almost like doing my tour in Europe, like telling people how important your solidarity is and how you stand is very important.
Yeah.
Whenever you
super important.
Yeah, it's super important. Whenever you just educate as much people, get them aware of the truth and the occupation and the oppressions and the rule of their countries inside a place, then they will realize that how responsible they are. Yeah. You know, having responsibility as a human being, you know, to other human being, it's from where we start, you know, not because you're Czech or not, because they diverse us all, you know, in being all this nationality, but we all still human being. And if we start from here, as a humans, who's fighting for justice and human rights, you know, that will be, I'm not, you know, the Palestinian struggle against Israeli occupation, not the Palestine-Israeli conflict, you know, Palestinian struggle against Israeli occupation is easy, you know, and its solution is it's not that complicated, you know. There is people are calling for human rights, and there is resolutions from the EU, from the international courts, from the UN, from all these organizations saying, oh, you have to stop the settlements, you know, and you have to take out all the settlements and more than 500,000 settlers inside the Palestinian territories, you know, and which is occupied right now inside the 67. You have to take them out. It's easy, you take them out. You have to destroy the apartheid wall, which you call it the security wall, you know. You have to take it away. You have to destroy it all. You have just to destroy it all. There is a right of return to the Palestinians. Yeah, you have to give the Palestinians the right of return. All us are refugees. We come to that land. Yeah. There is a 66 years of suffering
it's not
for
complicated.
the Palestinians.
It's not you know, I like saying that the biggest achievement of Israeli propaganda is to convince the world that the situation is complicated.
Yeah,
it's not complicated.
It's not complicated at all.
It's brutal. It's harsh. It's not complicated.
Yeah, at all.
And and basically what you said, that there are 3 fundamental Palestinian rights.
Yeah.
And they are absolute. I'm not willing to negotiate about them. We can negotiate about how to implement these rights. Yeah. You know, how the refugees will come back home, those who will want to come back. Yeah. No one is forcing them, of course, but we cannot. I cannot take away people's rights.
And I cannot also give 70% of their rights. Like I cannot give you 70% of your freedom to travel.
Exactly.
And you have 30% are limited. You know, I cannot give you you have till you this right of you. I can give it to you till 30%. Yeah. This right, but this you get it for 90% because
the
you
Israelis, especially the liberal Zionists, the one who claim to be pro-peace and human rights, but they do the exact opposite. So these liberal Zionists, they say, yes, we want to support the Palestinians, we want a Palestinian state, whatever, even though what they want is very different than something that will help Palestinians. But they also come with a demand. So we want to support the Palestinians, but, and then comes all the list of demands, as if they are in a position to come up with any demand.
Yeah.
They're just not in a position. Israel has exactly 0 rights.
Yeah.
Over,
to demand anything.
It only has obligations at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So and the amazing thing is that the Palestinians, the ones that the BDS campaign and the ones that we work together, what they are saying is we are willing to live alongside with the colonizers, alongside with the occupiers, but as equals.
Yeah.
We will not accept anything less than equality.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very fair offer coming from the Palestinians.
You cannot have, it's very fair offers. After 60 years of suffering, I think it's a very fair offer, you know. And it's still like, we still have to negotiate the 66 years of suffering.
Absolutely.
You know, after
and
that.
And there needs to be a lot of, taking responsibility and reparations. It's going to be like a lot of work, but
Germany took responsibilities of all people who have been suffering in Germany during the World War II, and also
Germany has to do a lot of work until it stops supporting the criminal Israeli regime at the moment.
And they're not now supporting the Israeli like apartheid regime there, you know. But in the end, and it's like there is a lots of evil movements inside Germany when it comes to this aspect, and lots of countries, and for that reason, we really like we're getting to good step. There is good solutions are inland, even though like. I myself would not like to have more checkpoints and more walls and more states, you know. I'd love to live, all of us in Palestine, having this country for everybody. We find the solutions and we all live together in a just peace, you know. And that is, well, like nobody, and even with Slav liberal Zionists, you know, who act as the ambassadors of Israel, you know. It's like you're ambassador of Israel, you just like, because you are the ambassador there, then you just take out the rights of others who's in front of you, but just you let the people you convince the people that you want peace. Peace is not about word, you know. It's not about saying I'm a peace activist or a peace builder.
You know, such a group like Peace Now, for example. They went to the foreign ministry of Israel to offer them help with doing propaganda for Israel. Because it's true, because they can do much better propaganda than what Lieberman can do. You know, the foreign ministry in Israel, it's a joke, okay? No one treats them seriously because, you know, what you see is what you get. But these people who speak the language of peace in order to protect their supremacist ideology, they have some sort of legitimacy in the world. Even though they are just as illegitimate.
But because they just show the civilized things, you know. They just go, take pictures of Palestinian and Israelis hugging each other, kissing each other, being in love with each other, you know.
And what we talked about yesterday.
Playing a sport, like, it doesn't work. This is not how we solve the problem.
I mean, great, we can have hummus together, we can have falafel together, but
that's not a solution.
At the moment, it's not enough. At the moment, what we need is to understand that, you know, you have the oppressor and you have the oppressed, and we have to stand by the oppressed. And we have to respect the rights, and what you said before, not to normalize the abnormal. And that's the most important thing. Not to accept anything about the current situation.
That is, and that's for that reason, this country, I wish that all the time, that will be a real negotiation between Palestinians, youngsters and children, and it's in a good time, where this organization, like if Peace Now would recognize the occupation, recognize there is an oppressor, there is an oppressed, and
but also occupation inside 48, not only the occupation of 67.
If they recognize everything and the right of the Palestinian, they will recognize Nakba, they will recognize that this country is for, like, it's a Palestinian country, you know, then there will be a solution, you know, because it's like, everybody should remember that the age of Israel is 66 years. So it's easy. 66 years, like, before the 66 years, it was what? It was Palestine, you know, that's how it worked. It was the mandate of Palestine.
You know, the Zionist newspapers at the time, before the creation of the state, they had the name Palestine in them.
You told me that one of in your, like, under your home in Jaffa, you know, there is, like, it's an old home and it's written on
the street floor. There is a sewage lid and it says Palestine.
And said Palestine. It's like, hey, it's easy. You know, it's just like, we just have to get it away, you know, just cross checkpoint inside our head. You know, we have to bring all these walls in front of our eyes and just say, this is how the truth is, because we're not trying to convince them. I always tell people in lectures, we're not trying to convince you, but look at how life is, you know. How I live my life as someone from Gaza, and how Ronnie lived his life as someone in Tel Aviv, and how other people in Tel Aviv live. Like, let's just talk about the easy stuff. You can go travel, any Czech can go travel to Tel Aviv anytime he wants, you know, but I cannot go travel anywhere in the world, and anybody who's Czech will not manage to come to Gaza,
or even visit family.
Or visit family, you know, any time, you know, because this is a small example. I myself now, I'm an outside Ronnie, and I cannot come back to Gaza. It's like, I convince someone that how this guy cannot come back to Gaza. You know, you can come back to Israel, but I cannot come back to Gaza because all borders are closed. air is a checkpoint, so I'm not allowed to get them because I have to be a diplomat, VIP, European. I'm not at all, you know. And it's like, and to come back like through Rafah is closed, and Egypt do not allow anybody to come cross to Cairo airports if Rafah is closed. So I'll have to be staying in Europe even if it is illegal, you know, to just like till the Rafah border. Then they'll open it for 2 days, and then I have to run to the airport, you know. If they will allow me, if I'm lucky and they guess that I can arrive to Rafah border, then they will allow me to travel. If not, then I will be just stuck in Europe again, waiting the next opening, which will be after 2 months or 3 months. And people will ask, like, I cannot, anybody, like, I cannot come back to my home. I cannot come back to see my family. How this works? You know, this is a very simple, like going to Israel and just having like a nice water, nice beer, sitting in the beach, you know. You come to Gaza, you have a nice tea, you have very bad water, very like almost they will give you with filtered water, and you sit on the beach. You will have a nice beach there. In Gaza you'll have a sewage beach because it's polluted because our sewage going to the sea, and we swim in it even. Whatever, you sit in the sea, you should listen to music. We listen to the Israeli bombs and the Israeli drones and the Israelis navy shooting at the Palestinians, you know. It's easy. You look at the two countries, you know, and you see that Israel have a navy, have an air force, have tanks, have Palestinians have nothing. You know, they don't have navy, they don't have air force, they don't have tanks. They just like living, being busy with their suffering, you know, being busy trying to have food and some bread for their children. Being busy dreaming of a free Palestine, dreaming of people from outside will be awake and they will just save the Palestinians, will break the blockade, will end the occupation, will tell the Israelis that they have to wake up. They will tell the European Union that they have to implement the international law and they have to force Israel to have the implementation, not talking. Talking is enough. You know, the act of talking is finished. You know, we cannot continue talking because I don't want to celebrate really 100 years of Nakba at all. I don't want to mourn it again. You know.
I was in the European Parliament representing the Palestinian popular struggle along with a Palestinian colleague. It was a few years ago, and there was a visit by Dr. Abulesh from Gaza, who lost his daughters, yes. And he was speaking, and he mentioned many times about the need. You know, he gave a talk, very tragic and emotional speech, and he mentioned many times about the need to take action and responsibility.
Yeah,
that's the idea. Yeah. The world, including the EU. Needs to take the EU officials and so on. They need to take action and responsibility. Now everyone was, clapping.
Sure,
he got applause, and then came up these delegates, the European officials, and then they started talking about peace negotiations and two-state solution. But he just said to take action and responsibility.
Yeah, look at the two-state solution. What happens to
the peace negotiations are about perpetuating the same, about not taking action, not taking responsibility. That's what it's about.
Yeah, it's like 20 years after Oslo Accords. What did they promised us 10 years and we will have a Palestinian state, you know, and they will build a Palestinian community. 20 years. They destroy our airport almost 10 times every year. They destroy it. They just one wall there in Gaza, you know, and this airport's like just one wall, and they bomb it 10 times with F-16 bomb 10 times each year, with like every time 5-6 bombs, you know. Yeah, they really bring us peace. They destroy all the factories. The Israelis destroy all the factories in the Gaza Strip, you know. They bring us peace. They have us to blockade, so we get almost 20% of what the people of Gaza need. Yeah, they give us like really a good Palestinian independence community where they let us depend on our electricity on Israel, our telecommunication on Israel. Even now in Gaza,
Israel controls everything. It's, you know, there is already not a one-state solution, but there is a one-state condition.
Yeah, it is.
The situation is that you have one state, but it's very unequal.
Yeah, that is what you mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, saying hey, it's why you have demands. What do you demand, you Israelis? You know, and I myself, I don't understand what the demands. You know, they go, every Israeli have two nationalities. You know,
well,
one is a lot of the Israelis, they have two nationalities. There will be American, Moroccan Israelis, all these Iraqi Israelis, and they will just go wherever they want. They come back whenever they want. They have all this privilege, you know, and they have all the power. You know, Israel, who should implement? What the obstacle of the occupation itself? It's occupation. Yeah. What is the Israeli Palestine? Let's say Israeli Palestine.
The obstacle for Israelis is very simple.
Yeah, it's
they don't want equality.
Yeah, they don't want equality.
They say
accept equality of people.
You know that they say that basically having one person, one vote would be the destruction of Israel. Now, it would be the destruction of apartheid. It would be the destruction of the Zionist project in Palestine.
Yeah.
It would also be the creation of something that is sane and decent and would respect the rights of everyone.
Yeah.
And whether they like it or not, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
but obviously, any person around the world should oppose the supremacist ideology and the supremacist practice of the State of Israel, which is, it's even crazy to think about it that, you know, you mentioned the water, so 95%, almost 95% of the water in Gaza is toxic.
Yeah.
And that's obviously a tragedy.
Yeah.
But it's a politically motivated crisis.
Yeah.
People sat in an office in the Ministry of Defense or wherever they sat, and they decided that this should be the situation.
Yeah.
Because they control everything. Yeah. They control how much you know, the Gazans get and how much the rest, and so on. You remember even when there was the Jewish settlements in Gaza?
Yeah.
They would get different allocations of water, and also the Jewish settlements would get the good water.
Yeah.
And the Gazawi would get the bad water. Yeah, like the bottom of the...
And they will suck the water, all of it, from the other land next to them.
So that type of thinking is a sick type of thinking.
Yeah, it's like, I have to occupy everything. It's not, they don't occupy land a lot, you know. It's like land, even like they occupy and they don't like others to have as like even if they occupy, they will not let others, if they have resources, no, I have to take it.
Yeah.
If they have resources, I have not let them, because if they live good, then I will not be good. Yeah. This is what I feel. It's really sad, you know. It's the same how sad I was when I told you, like, I was shot just 4 months ago, and I was really like, it's just, this summarized for me all the Palestinian-Israeli, like, what so-called conflicts, you know, and our struggle against Israeli occupation, because when us in the Intifada Youth Coalition Palestine took 1,000 Palestinians to plant olive tree, 150 olive tree in the buffer zone, in this illegal buffer zone, which is already, I was having the papers of the farmer's land. This is a Palestinian farmer land. Okay. So I'm allowed to farm in that land. So we challenged the Israelis and we wanted to plant it there. I go there, I find a sniper who shot me in my leg, you know. Everybody, when they ask me, like what Majed, what do you think? What do you feel? You know, like, really you hate this Israelis? I myself, I really don't hate him. I'm really sad for him. Okay, I was shot, I was in hospital, I was at home for about a month till I recovered, you know, but I'm sad to see this Israeli who just like, Israeli young soldiers who was very ignorant, very don't know, you know, and he don't want to know, he don't want to ignore it, and he's really happy, just shooting me, and he know that he's far away, nobody could just touch him. The same aspect when we do our protest every time. I see we are far away, there is 2 fences between us and Israel. It's like in Gaza. We cannot...
You're not threatening them.
Yeah, we don't threaten, even if we throw stone there, you know, that stone cannot arrive to them. So you know what they do? I have some photos, you know. It's like they will just say to each other, they will carry their guns, and we are behind them when they're just shooting us at gas and live bullets. And they will carry the guns and they will take their mobile and they will take photos of each other. Like, they were like, oh, you see the Palestinian behind me, and I am just sitting, just trying, like, happy that I am with my gun and trying to kill them. And this mentality is I could not understand how a human being can think like that. And I'm really sad that he arrived to this mentalities where he just do it because he don't want to do it, and he's just ignorant about anything else, that he's ordered to shoot anybody who come here. He's ordered to kill. He's ordered.
And they don't question.
They don't question themselves. They don't question the orders.
And they also have the automatic machines that are remote controlled. You know, they shoot by remote.
The remote, yeah. And
they don't even have to.
They don't have even to just. And they will be far away, you know. And it's crazy. And that's why it's like, it's amazing to find someone like you when you're just like, you really you really for them you're a traitor. You know, you're really almost for them like someone who who don't because they will not trust you at all, because you just fight against the Jewish state. Like someone was the small white minority inside South Africa. You know, when they fight with the black people. Yeah. You know, I will not imagine a white state inside Africa.
Yeah, but that's exactly the thing. What I told you yesterday. Either I support apartheid or I'm against apartheid. Either I'm a fascist or I'm an anti-fascist. There's nothing in between.
You know, there is nothing. Like the same with equality. There is no 100% equality and 70% equality, 50% equality. There is no right of return for just 30 or that's just 40 or just 30. There is no self-determination for 40% of the people and less self-determination for another 30 and another less. You know, I cannot give this people good quota and I can let them travel. This other I cannot let them travel. I cannot let this. But it's the concept of, if this continues and people will still be blind about what's going on there and not force their government to implement, then I'm really afraid of more hatred. I'm really afraid of more mismatched holy grounds, you know, because I could find me a new match holy ground and we could sit on it and we could just find that there is even the two-state solution is already done because of the settlements, because of the wall, because Palestinians, I cannot myself, I live next to Hebron, 40 minutes away from Hebron, you know, and 1 hour and a half away from Bethlehem, and I cannot visit this area. My friends who's in Hebron, I met him in Norway, and he's 40 minutes away from me. Who could imagine that? You know, as someone who's living outside of Prague, and he will come here, he will not allowed to come to visit his friend in Prague, you know. And all this coincidence, you know, of just thinking of, okay, if we will keep this, we'll keep these separations, if we'll keep not finding solutions and there is enough, you know. I myself don't think of one state or two state or three states. I don't want any state, but in the end, we have this history which tells you that there is a land for people, and there is rights have to be demanded, and this demands is for the Palestinian. So you just give it to the Palestinian. And for that reason...
it doesn't matter what the Israelis think about the situation. I don't care what they think about the situation. What matters is how do we end the crimes. After we end the crimes, then we have a long way to work.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do to live together.
So just find us a solution.
So, you know, you and I can live together very easily.
We can very easily.
But we also have to live together with all the crazy... yes.
We really can eat hummus.
We can have a hummus
contest. And they will not tell you that...
Israeli hummus or
Palestinian hummus. Yeah, they will not tell you this Israeli kunafa or a Palestinian kunafa, you know? No, it's very important that we... If we I'm not just afraid of just keeping this this occupations keeping like this, because I don't want more hatred to come along among people, and we really have to find more independence media where it can tell people, Israeli people inside, you know, even though I don't care about what they think, but in the end I know that if there is one state solution, we will have to live together. There's two state solution, we also have to live together, you know, as neighbors. If there is
we don't want to create you know. No one supporting, for example, one state says that, okay, we have to create another ethnic cleansing to fix the previous one. We actually have to live together. The occupiers and the occupied, you know, the apartheid people and the people under apartheid. But at the moment, you know, you have the occupation of the military occupation, and then you also have the apartheid inside Israel or the occupation of 48 and so on. And I have this friend who is living in Ramallah, and he said he could choose actually. In his case, he could choose between living in Site 48 or living in the occupied territories. And he said that he prefers to live under occupation than to be subjugated under apartheid, because at least in your mind, if you are occupied under a military occupation, it's still in your mind you're free. And when you live in Israel as a second-class citizen, then you will never be free mentally. So
that's why I'm telling you, Palestinians are so free because they have struggled to fight for. You know, and they are much freer than the Israelis. The Israelis, and even whatever they have with all this privilege, they're not free at all, because they know they're under threat. Because they know that
deep down they know that they are
under threat, and they know that people are made having the truth, and they see everything and I notice a lot, you know, they will not care a lot about us being next to them, but they will care about like the singer Modi or from Norway when he did not come to Israel. So they will not care about people who was killed 30 minutes ago, but they will just start questioning when the best singer he cannot come and make concert inside Tel Aviv.
And that shows how important
is
the BDS, especially the cultural and academic boycott, because it really touches a nerve. It really changes something. Also for Israelis, they talk about BDS all the time. They don't like it, but they talk about it. So Modi did a wonderful thing because, some people approached him. Some BDS activists approached him and said, we ask you to reconsider, not to come to Israel and so on, not to lend your legitimacy to this illegitimate regime and so on. And then he wrote on his Facebook and shared with his audience look guys, I'm really having a hard time. I really don't know what to do. I had a difficult couple of weeks and I'm trying to learn about the situation. And he opened it for discussion and many people joined. And it was great because, because first of all, obviously there was a discussion and it's educating people.
Awareness.
And eventually, because he already had the plane ticket, so he did come to Palestine, but he didn't perform. He came to see. And that is the best thing, actually. Because he said, at the moment I cannot perform in Israel. I am not willing to give legitimacy to what is happening. And because people listen to him, he doesn't have another choice. So there is no third option. Either he is coming and lending legitimacy to apartheid, or not coming and standing by the oppressed. There's no third option. So he said, I will not perform, not at the moment. But he did come and he did see for himself. And he was even more convinced about the situation.
The same, that's amazing. Anybody who's European who try his best and who don't give legitimacy to the occupation, through not buying the products of the Israelis, through not supporting any Israeli activities, through not going through I have a lot of friends who are trying to not go through Ben Gurion, airports, because it's an Israeli airport and it's a lot of security.
But even if they come through Jordan, they will
come and
go through.
They will go through the checkpoints and they will see it.
Israel controls everything.
Israel controls everything, and seeing all this people around the world that are really growing, thinking of I don't want to legitimize, there's anything that deals with Israel in their university, in their institutes, in their in their organizations and whatever, because they started to know that there is other options that we have to consider. And I have a rule in this life, and I can be effective because my taxes, I don't want it to go to Israel. My money, I don't want to go to pay a tax for it. The same with the U.S. Look at how the spending of the U.S. Just looking at the data, I always think of this number 1735. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's $1,753 billion. For what?
For what?
This is how much the world spent for weapons around the world. And it's this number, it's exhausting me because this number, $1,753 billion, that it can solve all the problems in the world. It can solve the economical crisis of Europe. It can solve the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. It can solve Syria. It can solve all this Africa. It can give an independent life and human being life to all these people. And I just look at the taxes that Israel is taking from the U.S. Just having $8.9 million a day for their security. From what? U.S. giving the Israelis $8.9 million a day.
To carry on doing what they're doing.
To carry on attacking Palestinians, to carry on making weapons and killing Palestinians.
This is what the U.S. does.
Yeah, it's and that is and everybody, and even Norway, I'm just hey, you're making Oslo Accords, and most of their money, they are one of the, most of their money, which they give it for the Palestine-Israeli conflict, they give almost 2/3 or 3/4 of it, 70% of it, for security of Israel. I can't understand who need the protection. It's who you support the occupier to have more security, and you leave the Palestinian who are occupied, without security.
It's such a big business.
It's such a big business.
You know that Israel, there is this wonderful film, The Lab, by an Israeli journalist and activist, Yotam Feldman. And he did this brilliant film showing how much Israel is doing arms trade in the world, and it's a leading arms exporter. Over $7 billion a year, just that. And it's called The Lab because they actually have their laboratory where they test the weapons. And they have the edge. They say, look, guys, our weapons are tested. We tried them.
We tried them Palestinian in Gaza.
We know it works. It's working. It works perfect.
The same when they did the phosphoric bomb, in Gaza. They just tried it at the Palestinian in Gaza. We had a Facebook, we have a phosphoric bomb.
So you are a very important part of the Israeli economy.
Yeah, it is. I feel very important, by the way. Very important.
Because the whole economy is about profiting from the oppression.
Yeah, and I'm a good testing part, for their weapons.
Yes, you should get some percentage of the.
Yeah, because they test me. This is a life bullet here, and this is one in my leg. It's fine. I have really good testing part in my body, and I tested already. By the way, I tested the phosphoric bomb because I had. Wow. Yeah, I have some of it because it's the phosphoric bomb. It's why it's illegal because it keep running whenever you just touch it.
Yes.
Keep running for 1 year.
It's illegal to use.
It's illegal to use against civilians. So I smell it because I was working in an ambulance volunteer, inside that. So I smell it, and I had it. First time look at Palestinian how civilians they are. Just to look up civilian. When they throw the phosphoric bombs, they guess they're making firework because they throw it on almost the New Year, So the people guess, oh yeah, it's a phosphoric bomb. They guess it's firework. It's like when it arrived, they didn't know what's going on. So they started to say it's a burning bomb. And then the word said it's phosphoric bombs, Look at the civilized Palestinian, they guess it's fireworks. Israelis are separating the New Year here, like having fun with that. Yeah. It's like, this is a crazy contradiction, a crazy way of thinking, the war, the conflict itself, where it made us arrive, us alone as Palestinians and Israelis, and with the international community who are ignorant and normalizing each step that the Israelis are doing against the Palestinians, normalizing the occupation, normalizing the suffering, normalizing the oppression, normalizing the BDS even, and not having action, not learning from the BDS, not learning from the solidarity, not seeing that Rachel Corrie was killed under a bulldozers of Israeli. It was documented,
Yes.
Seeing that
produced by an American company.
And it was used by an American company,
And this company is actually giving services to the Israeli army.
Yeah.
They have their people, Caterpillar, which are working very close with the Israeli army in order to handle these machines. So it's more than just selling them the means of destruction. They're actually allowing it to happen. They're actually facilitating it.
It seems it's like the role of the peace process is facilitating the occupation.
Yes.
Having how you can have more occupation. That's the role of the peace process is like just saying, oh, peace culture, peace building.
The Paris Peace Center. Yeah, Paris, acting president who tried to sell nuclear weapons to apartheid South Africa. Israel was a very good friend of South Africa during apartheid. They were actually arming, one apartheid state was arming the other with all the weapons when all the other countries of the world were not having any more connection with South Africa. So Paris was trying to sell nuclear weapons. It's a person who devoted most of his life to
sell weapons.
And he's a Nobel Peace Prize laureate.
Yeah, but that's how
and has a peace center. This is the way Israeli peace looks like.
Yeah.
This is what liberal Zionist peace looks like. You know that Paris Peace Center is built on top of a Palestinian cemetery in Jaffa?
Huh?
Yeah. This is the version of Israeli peace, and that's something that we should be totally opposed to.
Look at where Paris Peace Center is built, and look at how it's above occupation, it's above a Palestinian cemetery, and they're just like, they like the word, oh, peace, peace Paris, peace Paris, so there's peace inside it, this is nice, Yeah. And then they were they're doing really good projects, they're like taking Palestinians, and like you are just like, it's like, they're not allowing us to have medical aspects in Gaza. They're not allowing us to bring our materials in hospitals. They're not allowing us to study outside. And then they will just take some patients and they will make some movies and say like, listen, we kill them and we treat them inside, like we bring them to Israel for treatments, you know, we bring them to Jerusalem for treatment.
You know what's amazing?
Yeah.
You said that, you know, you're amazed about some activities in Israel, but whenever I meet Gazans, it's usually in Israeli hospitals after they are being shot at by Israeli weapons or American manufactured weapons. And what's amazing for me is to see these people who are being bombed and whatever, and that they are not full of hatred.
Yeah. That's it.
And like I can't understand it. I mean, you know, all these people in Gaza, at least the ones that I met, they've been shot at, they've been bombed, and they're not hateful towards Israel or Israelis. And you know, it's a little weird for me. Yeah, it's confusing.
It's confusing for me too, you know, because I told you, like, listen, it's like, I remember when the Israelis bombed the worker union in the Palestinian territory in Gaza. It was just 100 meters away from my home, and I was sitting in my laptop, like on my bed, and there was 2 windows next to me, which was closed. The huge voice of the big bomb, the F-16 bomb, you know, destroyed the 2 windows. I was talking to my friends in Sweden in the same moment. Like, hi, how are you? And then, like, the bomb just crashed all the windows, the glasses all over me, my laptop, my blanket, you know, and all the room. So I just took the glasses, you know, away, and I just say to my friend, you know, there is a bomb was around, and they were like, they just like the glasses all over me, and I took it, and like, it's fine. How are you? You're fine? You're doing well? And who should ask, how are you? You know? And how I reacted toward the issues when the bombs happened, you know, and I see the glasses, I just took at the window, and the other window, and I was like, okay, like, fine. And then I went to my friend and I was like, I did not even care about, okay, the bomb, you know, it seems very close. I went to my Twitter and said, yeah, there's a bomb going on here. And that's it. Even, and the problem that I'm used to that. The same when I got shot, you know, when I was shot, my friends would call me from all over the world and say, Majed, like, how are you? You were really killed when you were planting an olive tree. Which already summarizing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, you know, because you plant olive tree, they shoot you. They plant olive tree, they plant live bullets in your legs and your body. This is how the Israeli-Palestinian conflict already. So they would call you and they say, oh, how are you? They'll be crying, and you'll be like, hey, don't worry, just a live bullet pass by, you know, just like make a space, just big holes in the middle of my leg, and it's like, hey, man, this is horrible. This is the life bullet. It was like, it will be fine, don't worry. How are you? How is Italy? Or how is France? I was like, Mehmet, I should ask about you. You know, I am the one who was calling to ask you. You're the one who shot. I'm fine. Everything is good. And that is how crazy it is. And that's what I cannot understand. Like, how we still can live through this. But this is the resilience of the Palestinian, and this is how warm is it, you know, how warm we are when it comes to these aspects and being really in solidarity. When there is a massacre like 2008, 2009, how people will share everything they have, you know, even though they are poor. 80% of Palestinians in Gaza depend on aid, because the world want them to depend on aid. So they will never be independence. 60% of Palestinian young people in Gaza are employed. More than 90 are having PTSD and all these problems, you know, and they still live and warm themselves and warm each other, and nobody is sitting outside any home, you know, and hungry, because we are helping each other. Here you see hungry people in the street in Europe, but in Gaza you never see a hungry person, because nobody will be hungry in the Gaza Strip, because if the family system is very warm, all cousins help each other, or fathers and mothers help the kids and all. This is how good are the family. So it's like, it's not that I was to say to us, we are really civilized people, very civilized, we're very warm, and it's not. And I myself very surprised of how strong our Palestinian is. You know, I get some, because when you go to Europe, you see more details of injustice. You know. You see how very little details of injustice in every aspect. You know, the 3G, like, and the 4G, we have just 2G till now, because Israel not allowing mobiles to come into Gaza, you know. Like, imagine, this is a small, like, everybody have a nice mobiles here, it's like in Gaza. We don't need a mobile, it's not our big issue. But they are still preventing these aspects to come to Gaza, because they don't want us to look, they don't want us to arrive to the world. They don't want us to download as much movies from Gaza as we can. They don't want us to send
I think the
news
internet
from
is
Gaza.
a really, really big change in Gaza, right?
It is really a big change.
Helping
a lot of Palestinians. Yeah, it's helping all the activists, helping lots of people.
Yeah, for activists for sure, it's helping, but also like
just the brainwash thing,
to see the world a little,
see
the
world
from the screen,
and even to see. And even to see Israelis, and to see like not to see the war, to connect with West Bank, to connect between us as Palestinians. Now I cannot never meet a Palestinians in the 48 occupied territory or the 67 occupied territory if I am in Gaza. If I'll meet them, I met my friend in Hebron outside of Palestine. Yeah. I'll meet my friends in the 48 occupied territory outside of Palestine. I never meet them in Gaza or in their land or in the other friends' land because I cannot. It's impossible. It's a crazy. Internet brought to us that connection, even though it's very small. And I wish I could my friends in Hebron. When I met him, even though he's 40 minutes away from me, when I hugged him, it was crazy because I was I could not imagine he's just 40 minutes away from me and I cannot visit him. And all these good friends, we as Palestinians connected, and even with all the refugees outside in diaspora, in Lebanon, in Jordan, in Syria, all this, we could not, in Latin America and Europe, all these people, Palestinian refugees. Now we are more than 6-7 million refugees outside of Palestine, waiting to return to Palestine, And all these refugees are living a horrible life in Lebanon, horrible. Now they having in Syria with the Yarmouk camp, they having another Nakba. They were taken out of the place where they lived in for years, the second time. Yeah. And that is crazy, but we still know them. We could connect, we could make national campaigns together, we could serve and struggle against the occupation, and for justice and freedom and human rights together. We can connect even to Israelis and listen to them. We could connect to you without Facebook. I would not connect to you without internet, and social media and emails. We cannot connect to each other. I will not know the Israeli, even though I don't know Hebrew, but I still can translate something through the internet, and just see what they are thinking. This is. I think it's very powerful that we have this tool. It's very powerful. And I wish we can have more tools, which can serve into finding the mutual grounds and understanding, and also serves to break all the walls and checkpoints inside the Israeli society, and also break more the also checkpoints, the mental walls inside.
That when we go to demonstrate in the West Bank, then we cross the barrier, the wall, whatever, but we also another thing that we do is we cross the mental barrier. Yeah. And, just cooperating Israelis, like I said, very few Israelis who are dissidents and activists and cooperate with Palestinians and with the internationals who come. And, we show that we can do something together and we can work together. Yeah. And this is also changing. It's really interesting to see the change because we come from different cultures and, many of the activists, for example, are vegan or vegetarian. And so you have to... you learn about the other side. Yeah. But you learn about the other side because you have a shared
value,
activity and shared values.
Shared moral rights. Shared
and it's really great to see how also by working together things change also about the perception about each other.
Yeah,
but this can only happen if we have this joint activity. If we understand that we are. First of all, resisting together, coming from different backgrounds, different privileges, but resisting together. And because we're working together, we have all these
we
things.
We both are fighting the system. Listen, as you are a traitor for your country. And
a proud traitor,
and for me, it's I'm not, but for them to just meet an Israelis in Gaza, because we are very separated, West Bank, It's for Gazans, to just Majed, he knows some Israelis, that means he recognizes Israel and Palestine, I don't recognize Israel.
I don't recognize
and he don't recognize Israel either, so
I recognize people, not...
I do recognize people, I do recognize rights, I do recognize us living together. I recognize coexistence. I recognize justice. This is what I recognize. I don't even recognize peace without all this having the equality of all this together, So Palestinians, for them, even in Gaza, because of all these mental walls, they will not. They are not connected to their Palestinian, but also they're not connected to the Israeli society, and whatever, and that is increasing extremism.
Especially not the new generation, because the old generation, they used to work
they were together, but the new generations of us, like the ones who's from the 20s, first or 30s, they don't know each other at all, and that is, I feel like, it's a bit, the social media is helping a bit, but it's still like you have this stereotype ideas. He is the guy who gonna kill me, and I am the victim. I always have to just take.
And the funny thing is that Israelis also think that they are the victims, and the Palestinians are the ones who are going to kill them.
And the funny thing is that this is the victim, and we are both the traitors of both sides. This is why this meeting, like why I feel this meeting is important, because it's in the end it's giving the people a chance to think, a chance to see the truth, a chance to look for in this mental walls and try to break it and get and dig inside it. I would love to have a tunnels like our tunnels in Gaza, getting inside the tunnels, and just get into the eyes and just do not see walls, because this is how it should be. Palestinians in Gaza, Palestinian in the 67 land, in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, having the same right, equal rights, living together, and also having a ground rights where everybody recognizing each other rights in equality, where everybody, but I'm sometimes very confused really with how I could do that, how I could reach to the Israelis and tell them there is a human being here, like why you shoot at him. There is a civilized refugee camps here, it's like population. You cannot shoot in the middle of the refugee camp a big F-16 bomb, because the F-16 bomb that you shoot in the middle of the refugee camp, it kills tenth of people, and they all inside their children. You cannot kill them, and I cannot.
Look, I'm not very optimistic about Israeli society. It will change.
Yeah, I wish so.
But I don't think it is going to change just because one day they will wake up to realize that. That during the massacre in Gaza. 95% of Israelis, when we say Israelis, we only count the Israeli Jews, we don't count the 20% Palestinians. That's part of the type of thinking of Israelis, that it's a very exclusive society. So 95% of Israelis, of the Zionists, they supported the massacre when it was happening. And almost the same number also supported it afterwards, after they saw what was happening. So first of all, I don't accept all this talk about Israeli left and the Israeli peace camp. There is no left, there is no peace camp, never was. That's a lie. Anyone talking about the Israeli left doesn't understand what Israelis are about. There are those who speak the language of peace and language of human rights to cover up for their crimes. But if 95% supported the massacre, and if there was no real objection to, for example, that Israel, the Ministry of Defense is also counting calories for the people in Gaza. That. They published in the Israeli courts that they have this plan. They say that they never implemented it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they implemented it or not. They have formulas about counting the caloric intake for the people in Gaza. How much calories each person can eat. And they even made adaptation to the formulas, saying that, Palestinians, they have a different diet, they don't need so much fresh fruit and vegetables, they need more oil and white flour and sugar. This is as far as they are going in their thinking.
Wow.
So they have formulas for this. Okay, so I'm not saying that they are starving the people in Gaza, maybe they are, but let's say they are not starving the people in Gaza, but this thinking, this Nazi type of thinking has to be opposed by Israelis and obviously by the world. And right now it's not being opposed by Israelis. So I think that Israelis have a long way to go until they will realize that on the other side there are human beings. But luckily it's not only up to them, it's also up to the people of the world to say,
to decide.
We are no longer accepting this.
The same when we Palestinians now saying we no longer accepting aid from outside. And a lot of Palestinians standing that we do not accept aid. I myself don't accept aid at all now because it's enough. It's enough like giving us aid and just trying to make us silent, and we're not silent.
Yeah.
Trying to give the United Nations more money so they can give us more aid, even though now they're cutting a lot, United Nations are cutting a lot of the aids and not doing their job. Mm-hmm. They're not doing the good job that they're saving also the occupation, with their policies of not making an independence and like just take care of some health and educational issues, but not building in the community and just keep us dependent on their aid.
Yeah.
This is serving occupation too.
Yeah.
I don't like these policies at all. If they want to put all this millions of dollars of money, they should build factories. They should help the governments to just produce something. They should put pressures on Israel as they just bring things for their cement, for the UNRWA projects, or they just bring things just for UNRWA. It's like UNRWA is not a government inside Palestine. They are an organization serving inside the Palestinian territory. Yeah. So we are saying right now, I myself say, we don't want aid. We want human rights. Our aid should be human rights. Our aid should be justice. Our aid should be implementing human rights, United Nations resolution. Our aid should be living as a human being with all right. Our aid should be breaking this blockade and ending this occupation. This is our aid. This is how we solve problems. But you don't let me survive and tell me that, I'm in solidarity with you. I really look forward to give you peace. Yes. I really look forward to give you, and you'll be like crying for me. It's not about, I'm really thankful for your tears, and I'm really thankful for the way that you feel toward me and my community. But in the end, this way of actions is not the way that we want. There is a tactic when you say
we don't want aid, we want to end the blockade.
Yeah, we don't want aid, we want to end the blockade. We don't want aid, but we don't want to end the occupation.
Yeah.
We don't want aid, but we want human rights. We don't want aid, but we don't want better water. We don't want electricity, we don't want aid, but we want to build electricity company. Help the electricity company. We don't want aid, but we want Israel to let us bring the bombs the water bombs to Gaza and the water material to Gaza, so we can at least fix the sewage water and the underground salty waters and make it better and filter it. So this is how you build, but you don't give us even they arrive to a point that they give us water as aid.
Yeah.
It's like Malaysian organizations will give almost $250,000 each year to give us water as aid and give gallons of water to people. Why? We have enough water, which always you waited for it till it ended, And what pissed you off, Ronnie, that everybody know that there is this water problem, and the United Nations, they got the 2020 reports, 2020 report, which says in the first sentence, Gaza is unlivable place for a human being in 2020.
Yes.
And everybody looking at it, they just was in the news for a couple of newspapers and mainstream media for 2-3 days, and it is done. And that is what it's just everybody forget about it. And what make me afraid is hey, please don't normalize that this is true. This is statics. This is a UN report. This is a human rights report that's saying that. So we just
and the only reason that this is happening is because some people sat in an office.
Yeah.
And decided that
this is how we fight the system. The system which creates...
It's not a natural disaster.
No, it's not a natural disaster.
It's a human-made disaster.
Human-made disasters. We created this.
And the monsters who created it should also, should be tried for their crimes. Of course. But first of all, we have to end the crimes.
And the problem that these people betrayed the human rights and betrayed equality and betrayed justice and betrayed human being in other places. They are the traitors of our... we are... Israelis and Palestinians are not the traitors. They are the traitors. Because they did not force the system, this capitalist, this Zionist groups to just... They could stop them to occupy the land. They could stop them stop them of continuing their oppressions and their occupations of the lands and the rights.
We don't need the civilians to break the blockade.
Yeah.
We can have... a European fleet to break the blockade.
Yeah.
We can have NATO break the blockade rather than supporting it.
But we have the veto of the US still. But that is what we need, if not the veto of the US, the veto of the people.
Yeah.
We need the veto from the people themselves and solidarity of the people themselves, where they say no to their government, no to their policy, and fight this capitalist imperialist system which is trying to lead them the way they are. They're trying to feed them the information that they want. They're trying to feed them the information that they have. They just have to tell that the information that they have to tell their family, to their children. They give them everything through TV, all men's and women's, they sit in front of TV, they see whatever TV say to them, they will tell them. I was very surprised yesterday, there's a political science student here in Czech, you know, she did not study about the Palestine-Israeli conflict in her university. It's like, how you studied Palestine-Israeli political science, you know, and you did not study about the Palestine-Israeli conflict? Are you really sure about what you're doing? It's a real disaster what's going on with that. But it's still, we have hope. We
have much more attention than Africa, for example.
Yeah, we have more.
So we are still
we're still going. Like
we're still lucky because we have right now, even though maybe she didn't learn about Zionist-Palestinian conflict, many people see like the whole thing only in a very slanted way. But you know, they see about Palestine only not the truth, but whatever version of the truth that they get. But we can still get to the mainstream media. We can still but because no one cares about Africa at the moment. They should.
Yeah, they should care.
But they do care about what's happening in Israel, Palestine. So we have to.
Yeah, but if they know the truth,
push forward.
Yeah, we pushed forward to let them know the truth, and that is good. Now we have to really push forward.
To also make them change.
To make them change and get them engaged.
The way that they act.
You know, and the way they act, because the matter of a change is the matter of acting. If you act, if you're gonna change.
So now they are starting to understand.
Yeah, and then it's like, yalla, move.
Yeah.
Do activities, do VDS, do actions.
Exactly.
And this is how it works. Hopefully. Let's see. Anyway, I think we have to finish.